Yo, welcome back to 6 Feet Deep. It's me, Ronnie.
And me, Dom.
Today we're going to be talking about some horror things, like personal stories with ghosts that's happened to us,
abandoned buildings that we've explored.
creepypastas that we found online, random horror stories like the Emily Rose exorcism and the Russian sleep experiment. Now, without further ado, and enough of us talking, let's get into it. Should I go first?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Russian sleep experiment. I was researching this a few days ago. It's bad, like it's quite bad. Basically, the Russian army had like a roll call for like random people that want to come in and get paid for just being part of a test. So what the test was, they would come in, they'd be flu jabbed, tested for any health conditions, making sure that you're all healthy, and they would be placed
In a room.
and this room was like, I think it was at least 5 meters wide and
About 6 meters.
like long. Like, so, you know, you've got 2 walls and then the other 2 walls. It wasn't a very big room. The room contained 2 bookshelves, with it being completely filled with different books, and all these different books were on mental health and exercise. So they were trying to get them to think about that while they were inside of the room. There was 4 contestants, well, applicants, not contestants, and they would be sitting in the room for like, I think it was 40 days, a month, like 30 days to 40 days, and like every now and then they'd come and give them food and water so they didn't die. But what they didn't tell them is they'd be pumping gas into the room without them knowing, that keeps them awake, and that gas is to see what happens to them, how they react to having no sleep for 30 days or 40 days, and how it affects their mental health, their personalities, and their hunger. Like, it's insane. It was like, I was reading it and I was getting chills. There were some really, really bad photos as well, like, went round, because after the experiment started, they like 3 days in, they started acting very weird. They would just constantly stare at the one window where people would watch them through to make sure that they were healthy. They'd like a square, in like an interrogation room. They'd have that, and then somebody sat behind it on the desk monitoring them at all times.
Imagine that. That's so creepy. It's like, look, he's...
On the other side, you can't see it. It looks like a mirror.
But when, like, imagine you're in that position, you're looking through the window, and he's literally making eye contact with you.
He was, apparently, the guy said he was staring directly at me without seeing me, and he was feeling really uncomfortable. And about 3 days in, they started like arguing. Like, there was a massive fight that broke out, and they had to bring in 2 soldiers so that they could calm the situation down before anybody got hurt. They gave them some morphine and put them to, and then like they didn't put them to sleep. They drugged them, so they were like woozy, like, you know, like they put when they do it to horses, and they make them all woozy so that they can operate on them. That's what they did. And so they were all woozy for like 24 hours. They regained consciousness and they were all fine. And then the guy had left the room for about 3 seconds, like at least 5 minutes, not 3 seconds. And as he's left the room, they got their feces. They ripped the book pages out and they stuck it on the window so that they couldn't see in. And the guy was sat on the chair and he could hear clawing and like breathing very heavily up against the window. And one night he was like sleeping on his desk, and a corner had been pulled down from the bottom, and he was looking in. The lights had been turned completely off, and he looks down and there's a pair of beading eyes staring at him. And it's not like how our eyes look. There was no eyelids, and it was just the eyeball. Like, there was just eyeballs staring at him.
Or is it just white?
It was white and black. There was no iris. It was just a pure pupil.
Damn.
And he wrote it down, and it's like on like creepypasta websites because it's so bad. They sent a guy in a gas mask in with a gun to us to see if they were okay. And the gun was for his own protection, just in case they tried to harm him. And they didn't get any. He didn't come out of that room. Like, it was dark and smoky. They opened the door and smoke came out, and they don't know how smoke came out because there was nothing being pumped except from a clear gas in that room.
That's mad.
And when they went into after 30 days, when they went when they went in after 30 days to see if they were okay, the the three men were completely skinny. They had ripped their own skin off. They were eating their own body parts, and their eyelids and their lips were completely gone. It was just their teeth, and their like lips had been retracted backwards, so it was just their gums and their teeth showing, and it was just their eyeballs from like half inside of their face. So like you could see their whole side of their eyeball. They had no nose, and their ears were all cauliflowered. Like their whole body had like shriveled like an old man, and they went to operate on them to like try and save them, and one of the occupants said they didn't want the gas because they loved how the pain felt. And as he was getting operated on, he died in surgery, but the last thing that he said to the doctor was, make sure that I can feel everything before I die because I love the pain so much.
That's crazy.
And he would pick at his own body, and when the doctor was taking out his lungs, he repairing his lungs, sewing them up, he like pulled it open, like ripped it, and he was like closing his eyes like he was enjoying it.
Crazy, bro.
Like that, when I heard about that, and the sounds, like the sounds were horrible. I couldn't listen to it anymore. It was disgusting. But I think that's all we have time for, Dom. Thank you guys for listening to our podcast. It's been good. Had some scary moments. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and tune in next time. It's been 6 Feet Deep. See you later.